The last generation Civic was met with a lukewarm reception, so in 2016 when it came time to redesign it, they weren't messing around. Now we're on the new generation's third model year, and even though it has seen minimal changes since then, it is still one of the top products in the class. Like always, our review is going to cover all Civic sedans, starting at the LX and going up to this loaded touring example. Almost every brand has an entry in this segment, so let's go ahead and see if the Civic can continue to fend them off. We would like to specially thank Gates Honda for allowing us to come out and film this review. If you would like to find out more information about their dealership and large inventory of Hondas, then check the video description for both their physical and web addresses. So just like last year, Honda continues to offer this smart entry key fob on all but the LX. That's also the only trim to do without remote start. Before we check out the interior, we'll quickly talk about the powertrains. Notice that in the last clip I said powertrains, and that's because there's several different flavors you can get the Civic in. What we are looking at is the upgraded option, standard on the EXT, EXL, and Touring. It is a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, making 174 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. The other engine for the lower trims is a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine, producing 158 horsepower and 138 pound-feet of torque. Most trims will come standard with a continuously variable transmission, but a 6-speed manual is standard on the LX and EXT. Besides for extra power, the other benefit of choosing the turbo engine is better fuel economy. The vast majority of you will pair it with a CVT, and that combination nets you a stellar rating of 32 city, 42 highway, 36 combined. The base engine with CVT gets 31 city, 40 highway, 34 combined, and the two manual models slot in slightly below their CVT counterparts. So now that we've covered what powers the Civic, let's move on to the exterior design. The only change Honda is reporting for 2018 is slightly increased prices, so obviously that means the styling is unchanged. The grille continues to be chrome on the top and matte black on the bottom for all trims. That chrome nicely extends over the headlights, which in this case are fully LED with an Acura-like appearance. Every other trim comes with halogen projector beam headlights, but the same LED daytime running light. And down below you'll find a fog light on EXT and up. Moving to the wheels, Honda actually changes them out for nearly every trim. On this Touring, we have 17-inch alloys with a fancy contrast design. But both EXT and EXL also have 17-inch alloys with a similar design. Going for EX downgrades them by an inch, and going for LX makes them 16-inch steel wheels with hubcaps. The brakes are 11.1-inch ventilated disc in the front and 10.2-inch solid disc in the rear. And the tires are all seasons. Coming up to the mirrors, all 5 trims will enjoy body color and power adjustment, but the LX won't have heating. You also still have the lane watch camera, even though recent Hondas have been getting rid of it. Backing up to the side view, the Civic continues to be the sleekest profile in the class. Its length of 182 inches is right in line with competitors, but to me it looks longer because of the sloped design. In regards to safety, this family sedan excels. It received the highest rating of good on all of the Insurance Institute's tests, including the new passenger small overlap test. It does, however, miss the top safety pick criteria due to a poor rating for its headlights. Additionally, all Civics can option on the Honda Sensing suite of active safety features, which include automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, and adaptive cruise control with low speed follow. These cost $1,000 on every trim besides the Touring, where they are standard. Moving around to the rear, you'll continue to find the nearly fastback design. A small lip spoiler comes on the EXT and above, and it bumps right against the unique taillights. Whether or not you like the design, they are LED and look futuristic. Finally, at the bottom, you have dual exhaust, but they are hidden behind the bumpers. All Civic sedans have a small 12.4 gallon fuel tank, but the stellar fuel economy keeps that from being a problem. As equipped, our turbo with CVT combo gets 446 miles of range, falling to 421 miles with the base engine. Well, that covers the exterior, so now let's move on to the spacious cabin. So looking inside the Civic, the interior is the same one we've grown to love over the last 2 years. EXL and Touring come with leather seating, in either this black, gray, or the ivory color we had last year. The other 3 trims share those same color options, but with cloth seating instead. Whatever seating material you have is also reflected on the door trim, so we have leather everywhere you might touch. We also have silver trim, and even the top part is padded. The driver and passenger windows are fully automatic. The driver's seat will be 8-way power adjusting on models with leather seats, 6-way manual adjusting otherwise. So looking around the interior, it still strikes me just how nice everything looks. And as far as the actual materials are concerned, they are among the best in the class. This is the only hard piece, and everything else up top is high quality soft touch plastic. In the middle there is some more silver trim and stitched soft touch plastic. All the other parts are hard touch as expected, but everything feels very solid and fits together well. On all but the LX, press the button to start. After you do, this 7-inch display will start up on all but the LX, which has a 5-inch display instead. These gauges are yet another thing that only the LX is excluded from. They have a futuristic look to them, and the center part acts as a multifunction display. It contains all the standard fare of expected things. The steering on every Civic is nicely weighted electric power assisted, but the wheel is leather wrapped on only the EXL and Touring. The left-hand buttons are basically for all the entertainment functions, and then the other side is for adaptive cruise and lane keeping assist. The entire wheel does tilt and telescope, but it is never heated. This button or a right turn signal activates Lane Watch. What this does is show you a high quality video feed of your side, including your blind spot. You also have distance markers to give you some idea of the spacing. So moving on to storage, this is one area the Civic stands far above the competition. Honda always does something unique in this area, and in this case it has sliding layers. Once you slide the pieces out of the way, it is impressively deep. Sliding the cup holders back reveals yet another one, and also a USB port. Up in the front there is another giant bin, with a wire pass-through that goes down to this huge empty space below. There is another USB port and a 12-volt outlet. Somehow, the Civic managed to give you all that space without going to an electronic shifter. Behind D, there is also a sport mode and a low mode, but there is never any manual controls or paddles. Once in reverse, a standard backup camera appears on the screen. Every trim except LX has these dynamic guidelines, and you also have 3 different angles. Next to the shifter, every trim will find an electronic parking brake and a brake hold feature, which is really handy at red lights. Moving up to the Climate, EXT and Up will have this dual zone automatic setup, and the rest will have single zone automatic climate. Now I'm not wild about this setup since a lot of the controls have to be accessed by pressing the Climate button. Fan speed and zones are things I access frequently, so this seems like something that would be annoying and distracting. You do have physical buttons for the 3-stage heated seats, also on EXT and above. Now let's hear the Touring's premium audio system. The sound quality is pretty impressive for a vehicle of this size. Unfortunately, Honda hasn't got rid of the swipe volume yet. So with that, we are now at the infotainment. Let's take a quick look. This is the older version of the HondaLink system. I anticipate that it will be replaced next year, but for now, this is what we've got. This is not a bad system. If anything, the graphics are just a little bit ugly. Starting at navigation, this is Honda's Garmin-based setup. It's very fast, has responsive pinch to zoom, and it requires no learning curve. There are also shortcuts at the top of the screen. Heading into audio, I have my phone connected through the standard Bluetooth, so everything can be controlled here or on the steering wheel. The other sources show up in this menu. Next in a phone, you've got the standard affair of options. Clicking Phone Book will take you to a tabbed list of your contacts, synced over from your connected smartphone. The last thing I want to talk about is the standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, for those of you who would rather stick with the familiar interface. In addition to that benefit, those systems also give you access to navigation functions from your phone. This keeps you from otherwise having to buy the Touring trim or optional navigation on the EXL. That's all I'm going to cover on this video, but if you want to see a very detailed look at the entire HondaLink system, then check out our dedicated tech help tutorial. A link to that video is provided in the description. This auto-dimming mirror is standard on the EXL and Touring. You might expect the same thing to be true of the moonroof, but it's not. This actually comes standard on all but the base LX trim. Pretty impressive considering a lot of luxury cars still have them optional. So all in all, the Civic's interior is aging gracefully. Besides for tiny details like the volume and climate controls, this is an interior that almost anyone would be happy living with day to day. It is genuinely nice, not just for the class, but overall. Now I'll hand the camera off to Mason to finish off the review.
Surprisingly, the rear door trim of the Civic carries on with the nice materials from the front door. All of this portion is leather stitched, and your armrest is nicely padded. Your windows back here are power, but not automatic. Space-wise, the Civic slots in on par with the class. Its technical rating is 37.4 inches of legroom and 37.1 inches of headroom, lower than the Corolla, but right around that of the Elantra. The seats themselves are nice and comfortable. Down in the center area, you won't find any vents or connections, but instead you have two-stage heated rear seats. That's only standard on this Touring model. The fold-down armrest is nice and big, plus it has some cup holders in the end. Up top you've got a light, a fairly nice headliner, and an assist grip. Behind Drew's seating position, I have tons of room to move around. My feet are also able to slide up under the seat. And sliding over, I still have plenty of space to move around, and that's with the seat scooted fully back. Overall, the Civic's rear seat is very impressive. In our loaded Touring trim, there's all the features you would possibly want, and in every trim it offers good space and comfort. To open the trunk, you can use the fob or just use the button underneath the trunk lid. Once you get it open, you'll find a very large capacity of 15.1 cubic feet for all but the Touring, which instead gets 14.7 cubic feet. The seats themselves also fold 60-40 split by using these handles. The passenger seat is 4-way power adjusting, and that is exclusive to our touring model. The glove box isn't dampened, but it is quite big. For the passenger, there's also this convenient 12-volt power outlet for charging devices. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed watching this in-depth review of the 2018 Honda Civic Touring Sedan. Stay watching for a quick overview of the pricing, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons below. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.